Food. It's one of the most important parts of a culture that serves to set it apart from others. It also transcends barriers to create connections with people of different backgrounds. In fact, some of the most beloved foods in the United States, such as pizza and tacos, are staples of other cultures and have been brought here by immigrants. Communities share and bond over a love of these cultural foods, but just how authentic are they to the culture they come from? I'm Andres Mejer, immigration attorney and an immigrant myself, and we'll be doing something a little different in today's video. We'll be talking about, you guessed it, food, but not just any food. Our focus will be on Mexican foods and Mexican American food. In particular, there's similarities and differences. That's right, the two may be synonymous, but are nowhere near the same thing. But first, let's dig into what it means to be Mexican American and what Mexican American culture is like. Then we'll talk about some of the most popular Mexican foods available in the United States, which are actually called Mexican American, followed by talking about some authentic Mexican foods. If this sounds like something you want to know about, keep watching. And if you find the video helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel and checking out our other videos. Mexican versus Mexican American culture. We often hear the United States is a melting pot of cultures with influences from all over the world. The population is one of the most diverse ever, and owing to the sprawling immigration system, which happens to be the largest in the world, many people can directly trace their roots to countries other than the United States of America. And by many, we mean approximately 26% of the US population. These immigrants brought their culture and traditions with them when they came to the United States. And over time, their language, food, music, and even some holidays became assimilated into mainstream American culture. Perhaps there is no better example of this than the fact that Spanish is the most spoken language in the United States after English. And flour tortillas outsell white bread, wheat bread, and bagels in this country. Therefore, it's no wonder that Mexicans and Mexican Americans, who comprise 11.3% of the US population and 61.5% of all Latino Americans in 2019, have a strong influence on American culture. In fact, since the US shares a border with Mexico, Mexican food is very popular in southwestern states such as Texas, Arizona, and California. It has also mixed with the local cuisine to birth what is now known as Tex-Mex, or a Mexican American food, which is in turn eaten all over the country. But before we get into that, let's talk about what it means to be Mexican American. Mexicans are people who were clearly born in Mexico, though they may no longer live there. On the other hand, Mexican Americans are people who were born in the United States but have Mexican descent through their parents and grandparents. Mexican Americans may also identify as Hispanic, Latinx, Chicano, or Chicana, depending on their preference. Though they have a strong tie to Mexican culture, Mexican Americans have an identity and culture that is discrete from Mexico. It's not easy to define Mexican American culture, as it is actually a very broad term that means something different to every Mexican American, which is generally the case for almost every culture worldwide. Since Mexican Americans are exposed to both cultures, Mexican as well as American, they are able to adopt and drop practices from either. Some people have embraced many of the traditions of the parent Mexican culture, while others have a more Americanized Mexican culture. Mexican Americans may or may not speak Spanish, though most Mexican Americans are fluent in both Spanish and English. They may or may not be church-going, even though Mexican culture is deeply religious. They may or may not celebrate Mexican American holidays, such as Cinco de Mayo, but they do celebrate American holidays, such as the 4th of July and Thanksgiving. So as you can see, there are plenty of individual differences in the Mexican American community. Therefore, it should be as no surprise that the same holds true for its food. Mexican Americans may or may not regularly eat Mexican cuisine, but they do have their own version of it, which is the Mexican American or Tex-Mex cuisine, my favorite. When Americans think of Mexican food, they think of tortillas, tacos, burritos, and of course, salsa. But while all of these foods are part of Mexican cuisine, the versions that the average American or Mexican American are eating are very different from their Mexican counterparts. As a general rule, Mexican American cuisine is well represented by the food available at restaurants like Taco Bell or Chipotle Mexican Grill. Love Chipotle. These restaurants were designed for average Mexican American, someone who has been exposed to more American than Mexican food. Therefore, Mexican American food tends to be less spicy and more cheesy. Unfortunately, with many new ingredients added that wouldn't be found in authentic Mexican food. An example of this would be flour tortillas, which are a staple of Mexican American food. However, flour tortillas are barely ever used in Mexico unless one is making something like quesadillas. While delicious, flour tortillas are only used in northern Mexico next to the US border. Instead, corn tortillas are used in authentic Mexican cuisine. Another example would be salsa. Mexican salsa ranging from chilo tomate to salsa verde cruda and everything in between has many more delicious varieties that aren't normally included in Mexican American food. So this should give you a fair idea that the Mexican American foods inspired by Mexican cuisine are only inspired by it. And interestingly, some of the foods in Mexican American cuisine are not Mexican at all. You'll be surprised to know that this includes many American favorites. Keep watching to find out which of your favorite Mexican foods are Mexican in the first place. So let's get to it. Mexican American food. First up, fajitas. They may be available in every Mexican restaurant in the United States, but that doesn't make them any more Mexican. By no means does this make fajitas any less popular in the United States, though especially as a backyard and campfire dish. It's unlikely to change. This meaty delicacy originated in the 1930s with Mexican workers in Texas, so it's technically Mexican American or Tex-Mex, but definitely not Mexican. The dish has an interesting history. Mexican ranch workers in West Texas worked and lived near the Mexican border and were sometimes paid in meat, usually cuts that wouldn't sell. This included the head, entrails, and skirt steak, and the workers had to find some use for those otherwise undesirable parts. So what they did was take the skirt steak, marinate it in lime juice, pound and tenderize it, and then grill it over a fire. They then wrapped the meat in a flour tortilla and ate it, and that became fajita. The name fajita, or skirt steak, was first used in print to refer to the dish in 1975, a good 30 or 40 years after the invention of the dish. Nowadays, fajitas are made with the soft sirloin section rather than skirt steak, though beef, chicken, shrimp, and other meats and vegetables can be used as well. The recipe has evolved with time, and the fajitas we eat now are quite different from the ones those Mexican ranch workers had those many years ago. Next up, taco salad. You can't mention Mexican cuisine without immediately thinking of tacos, and I don't blame you because they are common in Mexico, especially as street food, not to mention absolutely delicious. Mexican tacos are a bit different from Tex-Mex tacos though, with Mexican tacos being simpler and having more variations. However, none of these variations includes the taco salad. That's right, the meat, beans, cheese, and vegetables served in that crunchy tortilla bowl was actually invented and popularized in the United States. It was initially called the Tacoup by Elmer Doolin, the founder of Fritos and the person credited with developing the first taco salad. Taco salads likely became popular through Fritos and the company's restaurant in Disneyland, Casa de Fritos. From there, the popularity of the dish soared and led us having the taco salads that we know and love today. But as I said earlier, taco salads are purely Tex-Mex and not authentic Mexican cuisine. And to add to this, another taco variation, which is made using a preformed and pre-filled taco shell, is also not Mexican, since authentic Mexican food is known to use fresh ingredients, which preformed taco shells are not. In fact, you'd be hard-pressed to find hard taco shells in Mexico, no pun intended, even though they're a staple of Mexican American cuisine now. Burritos, are another very popular dish in Mexico, as well as Mexican American cuisine. And their jumbo-sized cousins, Mission Burritos, might be even more so. It is my favorite Mexican, or I guess I should say, Mexican American cuisine. But in case you haven't guessed already, Mission Burritos are not authentic Mexican food. I know, I was surprised too. If you don't already know, Mission Burritos are jumbo, overstuffed versions of burritos with more ingredients and a larger serving size. Maybe because us Americans are larger too. It is made using an extra large flour tortilla and has a filling of meat, beans, salsa, of course, and includes extra rice. On top of these ingredients, cheese, sour cream, or guacamole can also be added depending on the customer's preference, and I do so prefer. But as with fajitas and taco salads, Mission Burritos did not come from Mexico, though they do have Mexican roots on account of being developed by Mexicans in the US. This style of burrito was developed in the 1960s in the Mission District of San Francisco, California, which is why it's called a Mission Burrito and is wildly popular in this country. If you're looking for authentic Mexican burritos, you should go for a simple burrito that contains traditional beans and rice. But if you want a larger, more fulfilling meal with more ingredients and a decidedly American touch, Mission Burritos are the way to go. While there is no doubt that tequila originated from Mexico and is definitely Mexican, what may come as a surprise to you is that Margaritas are not Mexican, but Mexican American. The drink is made using tequila, lime juice, and cointreau or triple sec, and is loved equally by Americans and people all over the world. Though we know where the drink was invented, the United States, we do not know for sure who invented margaritas. Many people have claimed to come up with the idea. According to Texas Monthly, the inventor was a man named Pancho Morales from El Paso, who invented margaritas when a customer asked for a magnolia, and since he didn't know how to make that, he made this drink and told the customer he thought she said Margarita. Another account says the drink was created at the bar, the Tail of the Cock. Yet another account says that Carlos Danny Herrera created margaritas in 1938 at his restaurant Rancho La Gloria, while he attempted to make a drink for a customer named Marjorie King, who was allergic to all hard liquors except tequila. These are only a few of the many popular stories surrounding the invention of the margarita, and we're unlikely to ever find out which one is true. What we do know is that the frozen margarita machine, which helps to make the popular frozen form of margaritas, was invented in Mariano's in Dallas in 1971 by the restaurateur Mariano Martinez. The original machine is held in the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History, and frozen margarita machines all over the country haven't looked back since. Now that we talked about popular foods that are Mexican American rather than Mexican, let's talk about a few authentic Mexican dishes. First up, we have mole. When it comes to food, Mexicans know how to make the marinade or sauce at par with the dish itself. Mole, not the borrowing animal mole, is a term derived from the Aztec word mole, which means sauce. Mole is commonly referred to as mole sauce in America, mole sauce, and other regions, which literally translates to sauce. It's kind of like saying sushi fish instead of just sushi. The mole is famous for its rich, textural, sweet, cum spicy flavor that will keep you coming back for more. It's not an easy feat to master. However, as it contains 20 to 40 ingredients, particularly native spices that give it its unique, unforgettable taste. The main magic ingredient includes chiles, a blend of flavorful spices, tomatillos, dried fruits, nuts, and chocolate. That's right, the addition of chocolate in the sauce adds a dimension of richness that isn't overpowering or too sweet. Instead, each ingredient complements the other and produces a flavor that can't be defined as other than mole. Once a paste is formed with the blended ingredients, it is mixed with broth or water to simmer and form a thick sauce. While the mole is celebrated and paired with anything from chicken or beef dishes to vegetable courses, it is a standout sauce that you'll have a hard time not licking off the ladle. Mole is native to the Oaxaca region in Mexico and is considered the country's national dish. Just think, if there is so much hype and craze in the entire nation about mole, it must be one of a kind. Well, not quite, as it has multiple renditions and variations across Mexican households and restaurants. Each kind of mole represents its own distinct dominating flavor, and every single one is addicting. The mole poblano, or red mole, is a prominent variation of mole and the most popular. Dried fruits and nuts, including peanuts, raisins, and almonds, are used along with a small amount of chocolate for sweeter tones. The pasilla, ancho, and mulatto chilies add the spice to the mole poblano, resulting in a sweet and spicy, delectable sauce. Moving on, we have chiles and nogada. The chiles en nogada is more than a dish, it is a symbol. The look and presentation of this meal imitate the Mexican flag with green, white, and red colors. The dish constitutes a stuffed green poblano chili topped with the white nut sauce called nogada and a drizzle of red pomegranate seeds. Not only is chiles en nogada aesthetically pleasing, but the sweet, sour, and salty flavor is also a salute to a consistent quality of Mexican food. Deliciousness. There is history associated with this dish, which makes the experience of eating this meal more meaningful for Mexicans. It is associated with an event that occurred in Puebla, celebrating Mexican independence in 1821. Chiles en nogada was prepared in tribute to the Don, Agustin de Iturbide, who played a frontal role in the rebellion and freedom of Mexico. It was meant to honor independence and is celebrated and consumed today as a symbol of Mexican heritage. Unfortunately, the dish is seasonal and is available only from September through December in popular Mexican restaurants. It is customarily served in the Mexican Independence Day celebrations, which is fitting. Some Mexican households have also mastered the art of cooking the tasty chiles en nogada, but it is no easy feat. The stuffing of the poblano chile is picadillo, with ground pork being commonly used along with select vegetables. The nogada nut sauce topping is walnut-based and can include a variety of seasonings. The sprinkling of pomegranate seeds atop the concoction adds a further flavor that balances sour and salty tones. Next up is chilaquiles. American breakfast is considered a top-tier meal with a variety of bacon, eggs, waffles, pancakes, and toast. In Mexico, the first meal of the day comes with a bang too. Chilaquiles are a beloved and easy-to-make breakfast dish, and they don't hold back on the spice-rich flavor Mexican cuisine boasts. This dish consists of fried corn tortillas, a Mexican household ingredient, and typically cut into quarters. It is sautéed with salsa, which can either be red salsa known as chilaquiles rojos or green salsa, which is called chilaquiles verdes. The salsa is where the true spicy flavor comes from and can be moderated according to your palate. The Mexican restaurants usually serve chilaquiles that are moderately hot. For some, especially seasoned Mexican cuisine consumers, they're not spicy enough. The dressing on top of the fried tortillas is Mexican crema, which balances the hot flavors of the salsa. It is typically a cream sauce that has a liquid consistency and can be seasoned with herbs like epazote. Shredded or crumbled cheese, refried beans, and traditional seasoning are also preferred toppings. You don't have to stop there though. The exciting part about traditional Mexican dishes is that they can be coupled with additional ingredients or tweaked to find the perfect match for your taste buds. You can add scrambled eggs and pulled chicken for an extra dose of protein in your chilaquiles breakfast. A barbecue on a sunny day with hot dogs on the grill sounds like a party in America. For Mexican cuisine, the barbacoa is a traditional and time-honored method of cooking meat. The term barbacoa is of Caribbean Indian descent and has nothing to do with cooking. Barbacoa is, however, the original term that eventually became barbecue. Yet the way barbecue is prepared couldn't be further from the Mexican barbacoa tradition. Barbacoa involves a long-term process of slowly steaming and cooking goat, beef, or sheep meat in an underground oven. That's right, this age-old cooking technique involves slowly cooking meat in a brick-lined oven, usually 3 feet deep over a fire. More modern renditions of the barbacoa opt for cooking the meat over an open fire, but the long cooking period is what makes the meat tender, juicy, and flavorful. For preparation, a giant pot is filled with some water or pulque, along with vegetables and herbs for seasoning. The meat itself is placed on a grill so it doesn't touch the bottom of the pot and is wrapped in maguey leaves. The meat can also be topped with herbs, spices, and chiles for an extra flavor that oozes into the meat. After several hours of cooking, the meat is taken out and served with sides. It is also used as filling for tacos, along with red salsa and vegetable seasonings. This list wouldn't be complete if we didn't mention tamales. So here it is. When it comes to emblematic and staple Mexican foods, tamales tops the list. Due to their wide availability from street vendors and easy recipe for homemade goodness, tamales are a go-to meal, snack, or even dessert. This Mesoamerican dish is old too, dating as far back as 8000 BC, and it's no wonder it's still adored by the Mexican population. The main ingredient of tamales is the masa, or corn-based dough, which is either freshly ground or nixtamalized, that just means it's prepared in a particular way, and dried. The masa contains a filling that varies from region to region in Mexico and includes meats, vegetables, cheese, chilies, fruits, or a combination of many. It also depends on whether you're looking for a savory, spicy, or sweet taste in your tamales. The masa is filled with the desired sauce and wrapped in corn husks or banana leaves. The tamales are then steamed and cooked and served hot. The corn or banana leaves are removed before eating the delicious tamales or can be used as a plate for the dish. In the Oaxaca region, there's a traditional version called tamales oaxaqueños. The dough or masa is created in a different manner, which gives it a sweeter tone and wetter texture. The tamales are filled with the Mexican favorite mole and wrapped in banana husks, after which they are steam cooked, creating authentic and delicious tamales. That wraps up our video for today, no pun intended. If you like this video, please consider liking and sharing with people who may enjoy it. Also, drop any immigration-related questions you have in the comments below, and we'll try our best to provide answers to you. And if you have any ideas for future videos or would like me to talk about a particular immigration-related topic, go ahead, let me know in the comments below. You can call us today if you want us to discuss your case or need help on your green card or immigration journey, and we will let you know if and how we can help. Remember, every case is different, and we won't take your money if we can't help you. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay healthy and be safe.